Good evening. It is time for today's tax talk. I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Thursday, August 25th. Just checking this date. The year of our Lord 2022. And lots going on with this Inflation Reduction Act. I tell you, I always have to laugh when I hear it because it's such a joke. And the commissioner, this gentleman here, on my right here, over here. This is IRS Commissioner Charles Rettig, and he has penned an op-ed, and we're going to go through it today. Won't you join us? So this is we're gonna get a lot of stories here because you get a lot of spin going on. What a great thing this is. The 87,000 new. It's not really 87,000. You hear that? You also hear all these other things about. It's really a good thing. It's a good thing. We're going after all of the cheaters. We need 87,000 people to go after all the tax cheats. I don't think so. I don't think there's that much cheating going on. There's some, and there's always, but no matter what they do, no matter how much money they spend, there's always going to be cheating. You're not going to be able to get, of course, that's, how many politicians tell you, well, we're just going to get out the waste and fraud and that'll pay for everything. We'll just eliminate it. It won't be any more and we'll have a lot of money. And so that's the argument now, right? We'll just spend this money and we won't have to raise taxes. Again, President Biden told us that $5 billion in the Build Back Better, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. We're just, because we're increasing the IRS and they'll make more than that. They'll pay for it. So it's paid for itself. And we're not increasing taxes because we're just going after the cheats. But we all know that can't be true. We all, helping people, and I help people with audits. We've done a lot of audit representation. They're not cheating. Now, they might find out that the IRS might find out that they owe money. Most of the time, it's because they don't keep good records, not because they cheated. Some people cheat. I get that. But even in a small percentage, if I'm a small businessman and I'm and they cheat. Now, again, I never cheat. I know the IRS is looking at me and I pay everything. More, all right? I report everything. But some people want to skim a little here, skim a little. But in the end, it's not worth the money that the IRS will get back for going after them. Most people pay what they owe. Now, another thing, many people don't even know what they owe because they can't file the tax code. And again, a lot of people take expenses and they don't have the backup. They don't have the receipts. Didn't mean they didn't incur those expenses. Just means they can't take them on their tax return when the IRS audits them and says, well, you don't have receipts, you don't have substantiation, as they call it, to justify these deductions. Again, doesn't mean you didn't really take those, get those expenses. Just means you have to pay for them out of your own pocket and pay taxes on that money. Okay, so anyway, that's let's look at his Rettig's op-ed. And again, he brings up all of these straw man arguments, and then he knocks them down. Well, it's kind of easy to knock down straw man arguments, so let's go through it, won't we? Okay, so here it is. IRS sets the record straight. We're going after tax evaders, not honest Americans, so they tell us, right? No, of course not. Only tax cheats are going to go into this. As the nation's tax administrator, the IRS plays a unique role in our nation. You can say that again. It can be a difficult job. After all, does anyone really like paying taxes? Of course not. I have to agree with them there. But they're essential to fund the roads we drive on, the schools our children attend, support our military, and so much more, like sending money to Ukraine. And all of the other things that that our government does with our tax dollars. And that's exactly what happened in recent weeks. forgive student loans, stuff like that. To Harvard, I don't think you saw the Professor Tribe from Harvard University thanking President Biden for forgiving all of his students' debts. Yeah, Harvard lawyers. Yeah, we should give them the money back too. The recent debate over providing badly needed funding to the IRS is filled with outright false suggestions about what the agency or our hardworking employees do, as well as how the additional resources will be handled. The bottom line is this: the resources are absolutely not about increasing audit scrutiny on small business or middle income America. Of course it is. The investment of these important resources is designed to support honest, compliant taxpayers. Our investment is designed around investment. I like the way they say it. It's an investment. Our investment is designed around the Treasury directive that audit rates do not rise relative to recent years for households making under $400,000. Is that why we're doing all these information returns and the K4, the 1099Ks and the 1099Cs and the 1099Bs and the 1099 and going after all of our bank accounts and all? Is that only after the wealthy, or is that after people who make less than $400,000? Well, we're not auditing them. Well, you are kind of auditing them, because when they don't respond and they don't put the information return because they don't know they're supposed to include it in their tax return, and then they get a CP 2000 and tells them, it's not a correspondence audit, but it's very close. It says, here's what you said. This is what we found. You owe us more money. Of course, that's going to happen. We all want a fair, impartial system where everyone contributes their fair share. Their fair share. And the rich are given their fair share. We keep hearing that too, don't we? No more and certainly no less. Well, I think most of us would say we want less. A robust, visible tax enforcement effort forced on high-end tax evaders and those supporting them is a priority. What does that mean, and those supporting them? Underpayments by tax evaders, so this not honest taxpayers who just underpay, but tax evaders shift the burden of operating our great government onto the honest, hardworking Americans who follow the law. No, it doesn't. If our government wouldn't spend all that money, they wouldn't need to raise it all. That's who's the burden is on. It's on Americans because the government spends too much money, in my opinion. With this new law, honest taxpayers will see badly needed, meaningful service improvements at the IRS. And the IRS should be able to answer the phones and process information, including tax returns, in a timely manner. Well, he says they should. Why haven't they? Well, they don't have enough money. $14 billion a year? That's not enough money? $14 billion. And they can't answer the phone? You think if you gave them double that, which is 75% more, let's say they're going to get, let's say it goes to $20 billion. Will they answer the phone then? They know that more than half of that of the increase is going towards enforcement. It's not going towards answering phones. Obviously, a good PR thing would be put the money to answering the phones first. But we know that that's a huge bureaucracy, and no matter what they do, they're going to fail, in my opinion. Enhanced IT systems and taxpayer services will mean that honest taxpayer will be better able to comply with the tax laws, ultimately resulting in a lower likelihood of being audited and reduced burden on them. How is it that when they have better IT services that are going to track every dollar that you ever put in your little hands on, and they're going to get their end, how is that a better for taxpayers? To set the record straight on this important legislation and dispel any lingering misperceptions, here are some key facts to keep in mind. And here come the strawmen. The IRS is hiring 87,000. This is a false statement now, he says. The IRS is hiring 87,000 armed special agents to harass taxpayers. Well, he's right. That's false. Nobody ever said that was the case, except for those that are trying to spin it. And they say, "Whoa, the Republicans are going after." They say 87,000 people are going to be armed. No, they're hiring 87,000, and some of them are going to be armed. Isn't that right? Well, and that's only because we've been talking about arming the IRS because the story came out about the ad and we've covered it on the show about the ad when they were looking for new recruits, and they told them you have to be willing to use deadly force. IRS agents to use deadly force, and then they conflate both of these stories and say. And say, well, see, they're saying that they want 87,000 armed people. They're not all armed. Everybody knows they're not all armed. Absolutely false. The majority of new hires the IRS makes will be those who answer the phones, comma, because it's not going to be mostly answering the phones, work on processing individual tax returns, or go after high-end taxpayers or corporations who are avoiding their taxes. Really. Less than 1% of new hires will be in our IRS criminal investigation area, which currently has a total of about 2,100 special agents and is currently hiring about 300 more. And that's where that ad came in, because they were hiring 300 more. And they'll hire much more than that now because they'll have the money. These CI special agents investigate criminal tax violations typically related to money laundering, bank secrecy, national security, and national defense matters. They have been involved in dismantling terrorist financing efforts and criminal cartels, as well as eliminating child exploitation operations in the dark web that led to the arrests of hundreds of people throughout the world. They do not perform civil tax administrative functions, such as audits or tax returns. They are law enforcement officers, and every American should be extremely proud they are on our team. They still are IRS agents who come to your house with guns. Not everybody's house. They don't go to everybody's house, but they go to some taxpayers' house with guns for tax reasons, don't they? Of course they do. False statement. All IRS employees, you can always tell when there's a false, the straw man argument whenever they say all or every or none, right? All IRS employees, this is a false statement now, and those being hired under the new legislation will carry firearms. Nobody says that. Nobody's ever said that. So again, stand up to straw man, knock him right down. And that's what he's done. Again, absolutely false. More than 97% of IRS employees do not carry weapons. But he just told us 1% only were in the CI. Where's the other 2%? This includes key civil side enforcement personnel, including revenue agents, examiners, and others involved in audits and compliance work. Less than 3% of IRS employees, expressly limited to criminal investigation special agents, carry firearms. Well, there's 80,000 now. They're going to add another 87,000. So that's 160. Let's just round it to 160,000. What is that? 1% of 160,000. 10% 16,000. 1% 1,600. 2% is 3,200. Right? And then another 16, 8, 4,800. So 4,800. Oh, it seems like a lot of people with weapons. Now, what did they need? Why do they need 5 million rounds of ammunition? Why did they buy $700,000 worth of ammunition from March to April this year? I don't know. But that's a fact. We'll go through that story too. This is consistent with other federal law enforcement agencies, like the EPA. They have a SWAT team too. Well, all of them. Every agency has a SWAT team. False statement. The additional funding will be used to hire more auditors to shake down average taxpayers. I've never heard anybody say that they were being shaken down. They're going to be audited. Some people might consider that a shakedown, but I've never heard that term. And of course, false. Wage earning taxpayers like firefighters, construction workers, teachers, and police officers are among the most compliant taxpayers, given that their incomes come from Forms W-2 and 1099. Actually, most of those people come from W-2s, right? And they take their taxes right out before they even get their money. So they don't. It's not like they're compliant because they're such great Americans. Not that they're not, but that's not what makes them great Americans. They're compliant because the IRS makes them compliant. These resources are absolutely not about increasing audit scrutiny on small businesses or middle income Americans. They said before they even got the money that small business audits were going to go up 50%. They said that right off. They said that before they got the money. Now they have unlimited resources nearly because they can't spend $85 billion in 1 year. Well, that's over 10 years, Attorney Leahy. I get it. I understand. Instead, the additional resources will be focused on large corporations and high net worth taxpayers to enforce laws already on the books that the IRS does not have enough resources to pursue because $14 billion a year isn't enough. False statement. The new legislation will be a massive overnight expansion of the IRS. Well, in a sense it is, isn't it? You got $85 billion appropriated to you, and you can start spending it now. You can't all spend it tomorrow. They gave you. You already had 10,000 new employees that were passed earlier this year before this bill came on, and you haven't been able to fill those spots. I get it. It's hard to fill all those spots. So nobody thinks it's going to be overnight, and that's why again, overnight expansion. False. This funding, which will be spread out over 10 years, will add employees over time as we modernize our operations with meaningful technological advances. Like scanners. Remember we did that story on this show that they don't even use scanners to input data. They have people keystroke it in twice, matter of fact. In addition, the IRS has one of the oldest workforces in government, and staffing has been in a deep decline for many years. Well, if that's been going on for many years, haven't you made any plans to overcome that? It's been going on for many years. You think you would have a plan? More than 50,000 employees will retire in the next few years. I don't know what he means by a few years. Leaving the foundation of the tax system that the nation relies on at risk. We've been losing $10,000 employees per year. And you don't replace them? You have the money to replace them. You have funds, $14 billion to pay for your employees if they're retiring or leaving the service. Shouldn't you have a plan to replace them? You have the money. Overall, current IRS staffing is far below our historical norms. In 1992, the IRS had 117,000 employees, 38,000 more than today. Okay, we've showed about that. That's actually not the high. The high, I believe the high was in 1995. I thought it was 114,000, but let's go that this is the high, 117,000. In 1992, the IRS had 25% of their employees opened and processed tax returns. So now we don't, last time I looked, 93% of all tax returns were done electronically. It doesn't have the same, you don't need those 25% of people anymore. And so 25% would put us right back kind of where we are, isn't it? So that's a false argument. 38,000 more than today. Back then, the agency was dealing with fewer taxpayers. The U.S. population has grown almost 30%. I already talked about that, why that is. False statement. This new funding will allow overreach by the IRS, putting agents on every corner and prying into people's personal financial lives. On every corner? Who's ever said they were going to be on every corner? Again, this is the classic straw man, place the straw man up and knock him down. Make it such an extreme that, of course, that's false. Here's reality. False. This funding will allow the IRS to better serve the nation's taxpayers and ultimately meet the critical needs of our country. Our employees care, and like others in government, like Ronald Reagan said, the scariest words in the English language, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Our employees care, like others in government, take an oath to support our country. We take pride in hiring veterans, people with disabilities, and people from all walks of life, except for conservatives, and from every corner of our country. Many of our employees, including myself, are members of a military family, and all of our employees reflect the taxpayers we serve. I'm extremely proud American. I'm a member of a proud military family. What does that mean? That his dad or his brother or somebody was in the military, but not him? and simply will not accept the baseless. So I am a military family too, although I was not myself in the military. My grandfather was in the military. My brother was in the military. My uncles were in the military. Of course, they went through World War II. They really, so, not my brother. My brother didn't go to World War II. And simply will not accept baseless, harmful assertions against interests of our country and the proud, hardworking employees of the IRS. Everyone should know this about the IRS employees. We care a lot about this country and you. So we got that going for us. I don't have time now, but I wanted to let's show about this. This is a story about $700,000 worth of ammunition. Congressional Republicans want to know what the Internal Revenue Service intends to do with $700,000 worth of ammunition it recently added to its 5 million round stockpile. And as Democrats vote $80 billion for stepped up enforcement. I love this because this is the congressman talking about that ad. Carry a firearm and be willing to use deadly force. And even in this, and here's a letter. I read this letter and I like to bring it up. But even in this article, they state what they said. The group asked Rettig to answer a raft of questions about the agency's past use of force and how it will provide a firearms training to the 87,000 new agents. No, it didn't. They didn't ask, how are you going to train those 87,000? They said those that are in criminal. And I wish I had time to show that. But it's like, that's a false statement right there. It's false. That's not what they said. Let's see if we can pull it up quickly. You got to go to Twitter and then you got to pull it up on the Twitter account. Let's see if we can get this. I just want to show how disingenuous this stuff is. So here's the letter. Oh, I was hoping to get the letter. They want me to log in. Okay, well, we won't get the letter, so I should have pulled it up first, but I didn't think I was going to get into that. Anyway, they do ask about how are they, why they're arming them. Here it is. Here's the letter. Let's see if we can go back. Uh-oh. Did they do that to me? And here's a verify. Yes, the Internal Revenue Service did buy nearly $700,000 in ammunition in early 2000 between March and between March and April of this year. So here's the full letter. Okay. Well, we won't go through that, but anyway, it's a sad state of affairs when he brings up these straw men and he knocks them down. And I didn't think I was going to have so much commentary because it wasn't a very long article, but I had a lot of commentary on that one. So anyway, Rettig, wrong. Straw men, knockdown, wrong arguments. If you're gonna take the time, at least address some of the real questions that Americans have, and not these false questions that are made up that obviously are false. Is the IRS going to have somebody on every corner? No, it's false. Nobody said they're going to have that. Nobody thought that you were going to have an IRS agent on every corner. So anyway, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time. Remember, I always ask you to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We need your help to get this information out. And so we need you to like and subscribe. So thanks so much for doing that for us. And remember, if you have an IRS problem, if you have unfiled tax returns, unfiled tax returns, if you have unpaid taxes, if you overpay your taxes and you need tax planning, you should you should give us a call at 312-664-6649. If you have an IRS problem and you need help, get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com, freeirsbook.com, get your free copy of my book. We will ask for a shipping and handling fee, but other than that, it's all free, and all the bonuses that come along with it are free. So thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. And tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll be on with the Trust Radio Network, and so I hope you can visit us then. So thanks so much for joining us, and we're out.